of good storytellers here tonight, so as you're listening, please don't just judge because people you know. Please be objective about it. Make sure they tell a good story and tell it in a good way. And don't necessarily vote for me. But I do feel like I should tell you that my doctor's only giving me a week to live. At least that's what he said Monday. But I think I'll make it through tonight. So. Enough about my personal problems. In the early 50s, I just graduated from the University of Georgia, and I started my first teaching job at the Model School in Shannon, teaching math and assistant coach, coaching a little of everything. And I did that for 4 years, and then the Russians put up Sputnik. Some of you older people remember Sputnik. It scared the pants off the United States. So they started throwing money at every math science teacher they could find. So I was lucky enough to get a National Science Foundation grant to the University of Virginia. Picture this, an old redneck boy from Shannon, graduate of the University of Georgia, going to the University of Virginia. Cavaliers. I mean, well, I was out of my depth when I got there. But anyway, that's not really my story. My wife, Paul over here, she started teaching in a little town called Standardsville, Virginia, about 25 miles north of Charlottesville. Little country town, right up against the mountain, and poor. The chief source of income was welfare and bootleg whiskey. And tiny school, backward area, right up against on the other side of the mountain was Shenandoah Valley, but on this side it was pretty bad. But anyway, I was about to graduate with my master's up there, and her principal found out that I had coached and taught math, and they wanted to start a football program. So he approached me about teaching math and starting the football program. Well, I was young, so I coached for 4 years. I can do this. Start a team, start a dynasty right here in Standardsville. So I took the job, and he said, oh, by the way, we don't have a field to play. Said, but we're going to, before football season, we're going to scrape off the side of that mountain down there behind the school and make a practice field. And you go play all your games away. Well, that shook me up a little bit. But I said, okay, I'm committed, I'll do it. So fall came around and I showed up the first day. I had 25 players. About half of them had never seen a football. They didn't know what a first down was. They didn't know anything. So I had a lot of teaching to do. I went out and looked at the practice field, and they had shaved off the side of this mountain. On one end, it dropped off about 20 feet. 50 yards away was this huge wall where they had dug out about 20 or 30 feet high. So I had less than 50 yards to practice. Just old dirt. And I said, oh man, what are we going to do? So we worked it out. So I was afraid to scrimmage toward the drop off because I was afraid my players would run off the edge. So we always faced that wall as we were practicing. And we only had about 30 yards because I had to keep 20 yards between us and that drop off. But anyway, time came to play, and we had to play whether we were ready or not. So the first 3 games, we didn't score. And the other team, they took us to the doghouse. I mean, they beat us 30, 40, 50 points. So, 4th game, it was getting late in the game, and the other team was comfortably ahead, and we still hadn't scored. And I said, this is demoralizing. But by that time, he put in his 2nd, 3rd string, the other coach had. So, we had pretty good defense. I mean, big old boys could tackle. They just couldn't play offense too much. So we held them back in their own 10-yard line. They punted, and it was a bad punt. Way out of bounds on the 10-yard line. I said, this is our chance. We're going to score. We got a minute and a half, and we're going to score. So we took that ball. 2 plays later, we were on the 2-yard line. I called a sweep to the left. When they snapped the ball, my lineman didn't move. The back, he started around the other side, and he just slowed down. They tackled him. I called the play to the right, same thing. The lineman didn't move. And it hit me. these guys had never crossed the goal line because the goal line was that hill in front. They didn't know how to cross the goal line. We had time for one more play. I said, if we don't score, this is the end of the season. So I called timeout, called the play over, and I had this mute rockneck win one for the giver thought. I said, boys, who are we playing? I said, Union City. Union City. Your name is Union. You are sons of Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson. And those guys are dressed in blue. Union City. My quarterback, I said, I want you, instead of saying hut two, I want you to say charge. And I want you linemen to give me the best rebel yell you can. So they go out there, and sure enough, the quarterback says, charge! You never heard something. It made the hair on my back of my neck stand up. This terrifying yell. The whole team in one unit went right across that goal line. The official signaled touchdown. That wasn't all. They kept going. They went out of the end zone, through this chicken wire fence at the end of the field, down this asphalt street, out of sight. It was 1:30 in the morning before we found the last player. Wandering around on Main Street, a mile and a half from the stadium. But we did score. So, and we didn't win any games that year, but we scored 3 more times. So I felt like that was a successful season. Now, I went back 50 years later, class reunion, and now they've got a nice high school, they've got a nice stadium, they've won a couple of regional championships. But if you go in the drugstore, the local restaurant, the hardware store, and you mention Standardville football, within 5 minutes, they say, let me tell you about the first time we scored.